It matters because when it comes to funding, we got to have the numbers to show where the disease is worse. Our needs are totally different from a man that has 6.
When I got my diagnosis, it was kind of, I think it was through a period of dealing with someone I was engaged in a monogamous relationship with, so it was kind of shocking. But at the same time, you know, when you're from a community where people keep on saying, like, this is expected, you know, this is what's going to happen. What do you expect? You're queer, you're trans.
At Leeway, we continue to work with the population that needs us the most.
Mary Glenn has been living with HIV for 30 years.
I was less than a year after I had contact with someone who was positive that I found out that I was positive.
For some reason, women just started calling in to the local AIDS organization, the big AIDS organization here in Atlanta, asking questions about their own risks, about prevention, about how to get tested, about there were women who were sick and didn't know where to go or have any services for them. And so the AIDS Atlanta, the organization, called out to those of us they knew in the community, actually a really diverse mix of women who were doing different aspects of women's health or women's sexual health work in Atlanta to help them figure some of that out. So that's how I got involved, or that's how I started as a volunteer, and just found that as a Black woman volunteering at that time, I think in that initial group there might have been 1 or 2 other Black women directly involved. And as things rolled on, we were just really clear that this truly was going to be a Black women's issue.
Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera in 1970. They created the Star House, and it was a place that transvestites, which is the term that was used, that transvestites who were homeless could come and stay there. And so as a person who works in public health, I often hear, well, we don't know how to get trans women off the street, so we don't know where to place them. Well, 49 years ago, two hookers and whores in New York City figured out how to do it, but yet we can't figure out how to do it in a major city like Atlanta?
I believe African American or Black communities in the South are more highly impacted for a couple of reasons. One, I think we don't really take into account poverty levels and the role that poverty and economics play on public health. I think that's in HIV, diabetes, hypertension. We can look at a myriad of diseases and causes.
in the South, we have tremendous disparity as it relates to trans-identified, particularly transgender women, not excluding the men, but we need to speak more on health disparities. The biggest thing that we are still facing is stigma and discrimination.
Medical model has taken over again, where we're content with people coming in after they've already been infected. And community-based organizations who have served as a major mechanism of prevention are being eliminated day by day, year by year. And in doing so, we're recreating a system where people only present in their sickest states of being.
There's a whole array of people. And when you and I retire, there's a whole generation of people who are coming along behind us, who are committed to making this work and developing the new options.
As was mentioned, I'm a Black feminist attorney, which to me means that how I lawyer is informed by my Black feminist principles. For me, Black feminism is a legal strategy as much as it is a political practice and an organizing strategy. It's not just something that you see on a t-shirt. It's actually a means of seeing people. It's a lens. It's a way that actually opens up as opposed to restricting.
Right, we're at the culmination of more than 450 years of systemic oppression. And that systemic oppression sits right at the juncture of sexual and reproductive health rights and justice. So when you talk about HIV and you lift up all of the societal ills that create vulnerability, and at the top of all these measures or indices of vulnerability sit Black people.
When we talk about HIV prevention, we need to get to a place where that phrase is a peace of mind. I want to be able to walk into a clinic and speak with my primary care provider and say, I want to go on PrEP as a woman. The doctor would say, I don't do that here. You need to go down to the AIDS clinic. If your provider not offering these services, why are you there? Wherever you are not asking about HIV screenings, I think you should run. Get the hell out.
Being Black in America frames so much of the HIV epidemic in Black communities. We'll never end HIV in Black America unless we respond to the reasons that Black Americans are more likely to acquire HIV and die from HIV. It was critical that Black AIDS Institute developed a strategy to end HIV that's rooted in racial justice. We the People is a Black strategy to end HIV created by and for Black people. This report was developed by the Black communities and individuals most impacted by HIV. Dismantling these systems of oppression that are hundreds of years old, that are steeped in white supremacy, is going to take time as the will of the people continue to push for change. The Trump administration's ending the HIV epidemic is a major step forward in the national fight against HIV, but it wasn't created with sufficient input from Black people who actually face the greatest impact of HIV. The gains we made with the Obama administration's prioritization of HIV and the Affordable Care Act were intentionally eroded by the last administration. In direct contrast to the Trump administration's ending the HIV epidemic plan, the Black AIDS Institute's We the People plan outlines a clear vision for ensuring that all communities are able to effectively access and use the treatment and prevention technologies that have the potential to end this epidemic within our lifetime.
This morning I'm on an early flight to DC for the United States Conference on HIV/AIDS. And as I was going through the airport, I was reminded of a very valuable lesson that the late Congressman John Lewis taught me. One year we were on a flight together headed back to Atlanta, and every military service person that boarded our flight, he stood up and he said, "Thank you for your service." This week while we are in DC, I want you to acknowledge Black women that you know and don't know. Tell her, thank you for your service. For the first time, USCHA conference goers, I want to see you. I want to thank you for your service because I believe that you will be the leadership that gets us to the end of new HIV diagnoses. And to end that, thank you for this beautiful space and opportunity to share our own love letters with Black women.